Okay, welcome back, viewers. I hope you are jotting down because it's getting more interactive and educative. So far, so good. We've looked at the definition of science. We've looked at who a scientist is. We've introduced the methods of science, and I've explained the first three methods of the scientific method. I explained observation, classification, then number three. Sorry, I also explained inference. Then number four is measurement. After observing your sample, after classifying it, then after writing down your inference, then you measure. Measurements cannot be overruled when it comes to science. You can use your rule or meter rule for measurement, or whatever your object of measurement you want to use as far as that thing you're studying is concerned. So number four is measurement. Then number five is identification. In identification, the scientists want to identify the problems in that object. For instance, my identification could be the yellow plant. That is a problem. The yellow leaf is a problem because leaves are supposed to be green. So I'm having a yellow leaf. That is a problem. So the leaf being yellow is a problem. You identify the problem in whatever research or whatever object that you are about studying in science. Is that taken? Then the next one is hypothesis. Hypothesis is a scientific guess. Is a guess, a reasonable guess that the scientists need to now work on. For instance, our guess could be the reason behind the other leaf sample being yellow is probably because that leaf sample lacks chlorophyll. That is a guess. I've guessed now. I'm not sure, but it's a reasonable guess because I'll have to work on. I have to work on my hypothesis. So my hypothesis is the guess, the scientific guess that I make, so that I would now carry out an experiment on that guess to see if my guess is correct. So hypothesis, after hypothesis, then you have the experiment. Like I already said before, you've already guessed this is a reasonable guess that you've made. Now you now carry out your experiment on that thing. For instance, you have a bread sample, and your hypothesis is that bread contains starch. You now have to do what? Carry an experiment on that bread to see if it really contains starch. So whatever experiment, whatever procedures or method you're going to carry out is called your experiment. You are working on that hypothesis now, not outside the hypothesis. That reasonable guess you've laid down, you work on it with an experiment. Then next one, you have your conclusion. Your conclusion comes after your experiment. Your conclusion has to rhyme with your hypothesis. For instance, if my hypothesis was bread contains starch, then I carry out an experiment. At the end of the day, if my conclusion is really starch is present in bread, that means it rhymes with my hypothesis, which I've earlier stated. So after conclusion, we now have the last but not the least, the theory or law. The theory or law comes right after the conclusion. So if my conclusion is rhyming with my hypothesis, that's why I can move on to the next stage called the conclusion. If it doesn't rhyme, that means that experiment or that thing understood, that research will have to be discarded. I have to start all over again, such that my hypothesis rhymes with my conclusion. If I try it over and over again and try my conclusion, that means I will now postulate a theory or a law. That's why today we hear of Gay-Lussac's law, Charles' law, Pythagoras' theorem. It's a theorem when the hypothesis and the conclusion are one and the same. So it now becomes a theory, your own theory. But this theory will now undergo different research and investigations by a collection of other scientists. If at the end of it all, they arrive at the same conclusion, it becomes a law. That's why the last one is theory or law. So let me refresh your memory before we take a quick break. The scientific method or the method of science is 1. Observation, 2. Classification, 3. Inference, 4. Measurement, 5. Identification, 6. Hypothesis, 7. Experiment, 8. Conclusion, 9. Theory or law. See you in a short while. Thank you.